Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to be making a bachelor's degree expense and resource projection. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to use some of the skills we've already learned. For example, we're going to use vlookup, totals, and just learn how to work with formulas a little more. So I'm going to type in school name, and then here will be tuition. And then I will skip a line and I will go down to expenses, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, and total. And then under expenses, I'm going to say room and board. Oh, that's not spelled board, is it? Room and board. Tuition and books. Clothes. Entertainment. Actually, let's just do those two. Don't want you guys spending too long on this. Total expenses. Then I'm going to go resources. I'm going to copy these rows up here, bring them down here, and let's talk about where we get our money from. Let's go savings, parents, job, loans, scholarships, total resources. And then we're going to talk about assumptions. And actually, I'm going to delete this one. Okay. Now, as far as assumptions go, I'm going to take these ones, put them down here, and then I'm going to include annual rate increase, and I'll put tuition down there, and room and board. Okay. Now I'm going to select this row, hit the control button, select this row, hit the control button, select this row, and I'm going to change the way that they look. Alright, let's see. We want to go to cell styles. Maybe we'll do heading 1. And then I'm going to change the color a little bit on mine because I want to. I want to do something like that. Sure, why not? I'm going to hover my mouse in between two cells, expand it out. Looks good. All right. Now, before we start anything else, let's figure out our assumptions. We're going to assume that whatever amount of money we're going to end up paying for school, for college, I should say, we're going to assume that we are going to save 10%. We're going to assume that our parents are going to help us out with 12% of the cost. And then we're going to assume that our job is going to help us out with 11% of the cost. The loans are going to, we're going to take out about 35% of whatever the cost is in loans, and then we're really shooting for an optimistic 32% of scholarships. Okay, so I'm going to change these to percentages just so it looks nice. I guess that was a little higher. I don't know why I did that. It should be 10%. This should be 12%. This should be 11. This should be 35. And this should be 32%. So those are our assumptions. We're also going to assume that our annual rate increase is 8.25%. That's a pretty reasonable percentage. Now our tuition amount, we're actually going to get that from sheet 2 over here. So we're going to use our value lookup function. So we're going to value lookup the value we type into this cell. And then what's cool is it tells you down here the way that your formula should look. You need a lookup value, which we put in, is B1, and it has a comma and goes to table array. So I'm going to type in comma. Now I need to tell what array we're looking from. The array we're looking from is on sheet 2, so click sheet 2, and it's over here. Click on Adelphi University, drag over to D, the D column, so you're going from A2 to D. Looks like 479. Now you can type this in by hand if you want, or you can click and drag. Either way works. So like watch, if I delete 479, I can just type in 479 and it still works. Okay. Now column index number, we want tuition and fees. We want the in-state one because a lot of schools don't provide out-of-state. So we're just going to assume we can get in-state tuition. Now that's column 1, 2. Column B is the second column, so you type in 2. Now if we wanted room and board, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4. It would be column 4. And then that gives us our column index number. Now this next one's kind of interesting. It asks, do we want an approximate match or do we want an exact match? And we want an exact match. So you can either type that in as a 0 or you can type it in as false. They mean the same thing. The computer parses those two statements the same way. And if I hit enter, it'll give me, well, NA right now because there's no school. But let's just say, for example, that I want to know how much Arizona State University costs, and as long as I spell it right, it returns me a value in dollars. So we need to change our account number format to dollars. And bada bing, bada boom, there you go. You have your tuition. A single year tuition at Arizona State University, and I can tell you as a student there that's actually accurate. But that's just tuition. That's not room and board or anything like that. It's just tuition. Now room and board, same thing. We're going to type in equals vlookup, and we are going to do the exact same thing. We're looking for B1, comma, and our array, same array, because I was nice enough to provide you with all the data, didn't make you go find any, and have to, because what really thinks is when you're really working with data, you have to have like all different data tables, and the indexing values don't match, and that takes some effort to parse. But I'm just giving you this nice and easy. So you take the exact same array, and sometimes it's just easier to type it in. It just depends. So usually if you're working on the same sheet, it's easier to type it in, but since we're working on a different sheet, we're going to do that. We're just going to highlight it. Go back up here to the formula bar, hit comma. Now we're looking for the room and board column, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the fourth column. And then once again, we want an exact match. We don't want a non-exact match. So there's the room and board projected cost. So you're going to do the $ value. All right. Now we're working. So we have our assumptions all set up. We have our school name in there. You can change your school name to any school name as long as any college as long as it's on this list. And then let's calculate how much our room and board is going to cost our freshman year. And this is really, really easy, actually. We just hit enter, and we're going to make it equal to whatever the value of this cell is. So equal to B21. So I type in equal to B21, enter. That's it. Tuition for the books, sorry, I lied to you. This should be B22 because the room and board is first. So B22, enter. Tuition in books is equal to B21. And then total expenses, well, this should also be easy, is equal to sum, and you can either highlight these two, or you can just type it in, equal to B4 colon to B5. Close brackets, close parentheses, enter. And you have a sum now. All right. Now, what we're going to do is we want to know how much we need to plan to save, to get from our parents, get from our job, get from loans, and get from scholarships. So you're kind of making a budget here. Let's do enter. We're going to do enter total expenses for the year. So total, this column, B6, we're going to multiply it. And so we use this little asterisk button. This means multiply. So it's not an X. It's the little asterisk, the little star. That means multiply by the corresponding assumption. So this means our savings assumption, which is 10%. So B6, our total, multiplied by B15. And then just hit enter. And this tells us we need to have saved $2,306 for this year. And now we do the same thing for, our other assumptions, equal to B6 times our parents equal to B6 times our job equal to P6 times loans. And this tells us we need to take out $8,000 in loans this year. Now you can, if you change your assumptions, you can take away from your loans. And if you have a good job, you can put more on your job. That way you have to take out less loans. And then scholarships, we're saying that we need to prepare and apply for at least 32% of our tuition in scholarships. And then our total resources are equal to sum of all of these numbers above it. And then these two numbers should be equal. They'll equal out. And that tells us we have all the money we need there. Perfect. All right. Now the next thing we're going to do is these are all formulas. These are all formulas. Everything in here is a formula. The only thing that aren't formulas are our assumptions for a couple of things. Now for our sophomore year, because here's the deal. I don't know if you know this or not, but tuitions go up annually. Now I told us we had an annual rate increase of 8.25%. And if I use this button, it expands out the decimal point. So why don't we do that? Why don't we just take all of these and expand out the decimal point? Okay, there we go. All right. So for our room and board, I can hit equals the prior year's expenses. So freshman year is the prior year. So this cell, and we are going to multiply it by, so B4 multiplied by parentheses 1 plus the annual rate increase, which is this percentage. Close bracket. And then let's format all these cells as money. Same thing with these down here. Let's format all these cells as money. Let's do the same thing here. Let's go equals prior year's expenses times parenthesis 1 plus annual rate increase. There you go. And then this is really cool. Watch this. Instead of typing this whole thing in, watch what you can do. You can just click this, drag this cell over all the way. Same thing here. Click this cell, drag it over all the way. Bada bing, bada boom. And let's do a total row on this for cell style. Total row. Total row. Nice. Okay. Now, what's really cool here, too, is instead of typing this whole thing out over again, what we can do is just click on the B20. This is really important to do this. So not the B4, the B20. If you hit the F4 key, so click on B20, sorry about that. And if you hit the F4 key, it puts the dollar signs. And you don't have to hit F4. You can actually just type it in. $B20, B $20 does the same thing. It locks that cell in place. And you hit enter. And you drag this across. It does it for you. So go down here, do the same thing on this cell. Just type in a dollar sign or hit F4, either one. F4, enter, click this, and drag it over. Because what's happening when you drag it over, you're telling it, I want the B to stay the same, but I want the next cell to be B6. Or sorry, I want the 5 to be the same, but I want the next cell to be C5, and then D5, and then E5. But the dollar signs say, I want B20 to stay B20. Otherwise, it'll go C20, D20, E20, and F20. All right, so same thing over here. We're going to do enter, and we're going to do expenses for the prior year, so this one, and we're going to multiply it by our annual rate increase. And this B20, guess what? Same thing. We are going to apply. The little dollar signs or the lock cell. So lock cell, and we can click and drag this all the way down. Oh, I see what I did. I'm dummy. All right, I'm a dummy. What I meant to say was 8, so B8 just like we did up here. So I did B8 times so B8 times 1. Oh my goodness, my shift key's not working. 1 plus B20, and you're locking B20. There we go. Silly me. Okay, now you can click and drag this down. You can click and drag this over, and you can click and drag all of them down. And you are done. That's it. You now have a projection of how much money you need every single year and how that money breaks down for you. You have a projection of how much school is going to cost you every year. The one thing that we didn't do, and I should have done, is this total row. Sorry about that. This will give you a total for your entire degree, so sum for these 4 cells. Click it and drag it all the way down. So the total for your whole degree is going to be, oh my goodness, over $100,000 for ASU. Ugh. Unfortunately, that rings very true. Same thing here, equals sum. These cells, boom. Click it, drag down to here. Take this one, drag it out to here. That's it. Now, if we want to change it, so we said ASU was $104,000. Let's try the University of Arizona. Ooh, $123,000. Not much better. All right, the last thing I want to teach us has to do, no, I don't want it like that. I want it like that. So, okay, the last thing I want to teach us is how to get rid of all this stuff over here. If you hit Control-Shift, if you highlight the G cell, hit Control-Shift, right arrow, it highlights everything over there. And you can right-click and say, Hide. And then if you want to click the 23 row, hit Control-Shift, down arrow, hold them all at the same time, right-click and say, Hide. And now you're left with just this really nice little clean chart. That's it. Save it as last name, college, and you should be fine. So I will save this file, save as, Hearst College, doing mine example. You don't do example. And I'm going to save mine, instead of as an Excel workbook, I'm going to save mine as a PDF, just so that you guys can look at it later as an example. So PDF, save, and I'm done. That is it. All right, thank you.